Imagine this. Tomorrow morning, you suddenly receive $5 million. No preparation, no warning. What would you do? Who would you tell first? Your family, your relatives, your closest friends? If your answer is yes, then you've already lost. Because what I'm about to tell you in the next few minutes will decide one thing: whether you still have that $5 million 5 years from now, or whether it disappears. In that moment, it feels like God has blessed you. It feels like your life has changed. It feels like everything will finally become easy. But this is exactly where Machiavelli's warning begins. Who was Machiavelli? 500 years ago in Italy, he was a political thinker who wrote the real rules of power. Rules you don't find in textbooks. Rules that explain how the world actually works. He said fortune is like a woman. She favors the bold, but she abandons those who are unprepared and foolish. The meaning is simple. What feels like a blessing can become your execution, because sudden wealth doesn't change you. It reveals you, your real weaknesses, your bad habits, your illusions. Everything comes to the surface. You think you've gained freedom, but in reality, you've taken on a new burden, a gravitational force that pulls everyone around you toward your money. Everyone wants a piece of your new world. Now you might think, this will never happen to me. I'm middle class. I don't have a startup. I don't have a big business. But pause for a moment and look around. How many people saw their property values increase tenfold in a decade? A new metro line, a new highway, a new business district. A home worth $50,000 became worth $500,000. How many people suddenly inherited a family business? How many received an unexpected inheritance? How many small businesses, small online brands, or YouTube channels suddenly went viral and started earning tens of thousands every month? This happens every day, around you. Maybe it won't happen to you. Maybe you'll live a comfortable middle-class life. But if it does happen, if fortune favors you, if $5 million or $100 million suddenly lands in your hands, what will you do then? Because the real question isn't whether it will happen. The real question is whether you're prepared. And this is where the dark reality begins. People who become rich suddenly almost never manage to keep that wealth. Studies on lottery winners and instant millionaires reveal a frightening pattern. The faster they rise, the faster they fall. More than half are divorced within a few years. Many become addicted. Many go bankrupt. Many fall into depression. Long before the money runs out, they lose their friends. They lose their families. They lose their peace of mind. Why? Because they make one fatal mistake. They confuse money with wisdom. They believe that once money arrives, everything will automatically fall into place. But the truth is this: keeping wealth is 100 times harder than acquiring it. Machiavelli saw this among the kings of his time. Kings who inherited kingdoms, kings who never fought wars, kings who never struggled. They received power without earning it. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler who becomes king only through fortune remains powerful only as long as fortune supports him. The day fortune turns, the king falls. The same rule applies to money. If you haven't built the habits that create wealth, if you haven't learned the discipline that preserves money, that wealth will disappear faster than it arrived. So before celebrating, before announcing it to the world, understand one thing clearly: your greatest weapon is silence. The world will tell you to show your success. Post stories on Instagram, upload photos on Facebook. Let everyone know how successful you've become. Machiavelli's rule is the opposite. Those who shout their victories invite attacks. The moment you display your wealth, you reveal your greatest vulnerability. Smart people believe in stealth wealth, hidden wealth. People who own everything yet appear ordinary. Their neighbors think they live a normal life. They drive simple cars. They wear normal clothes. But their influence, their power, and their money exist far beyond what is visible. History gives us an example. Cesare Borgia, a ruler in 15th century Italy, deeply studied by Machiavelli. Borgia built an empire through charm, strategy, and calculated cruelty. Yet even he learned one lesson. The more visible you become, the more enemies you create. His wealth and power produced envy, not admiration. Betrayal followed. Now consider a modern example. Jack Whittaker, an ordinary American construction worker, a family man. In 2002, he won the Powerball lottery, $315 million. Overnight, he became famous. He decided to be generous. He gave cash to strangers, donated millions to churches, bought houses for friends, gifted cars to relatives. The media turned him into a hero. But when the cameras left, his life collapsed. His wife left him. His friends disappeared. His granddaughter overdosed and died. Years later, he said, "I wish I had torn that lottery ticket apart." After winning hundreds of millions, he wished he had never won. This is pure Machiavelli. The first rule of sudden wealth is the same as the first rule of power. Conceal it. Hide your strength until it becomes stable. If fortune gives you gold, behave as if nothing has changed. This is not humility. This is survival. In today's world, where everyone broadcasts their life on social media, where even small things go on Instagram, anonymity is your strongest armor. Now you might think, no, I'm smart. I can handle it. I can manage attention. I will decide what to tell and what not to tell. But Machiavelli will remind you of human nature. Humans are unstable, jealous, envious. The moment people get even a hint that you have something they don't, they start testing your boundaries. They check how much they can extract from you. And the most dangerous part is this: even your closest people, your friends, your family, will unconsciously start comparing their lives to your life. And comparison always creates jealousy, resentment, and distance. So the question becomes, how do you actually protect your wealth and protect yourself? In a world that worships visibility, where everyone wants to be famous and seen, how do you grow while staying hidden? The answer is not just silence. The answer is structure, a framework. Privacy is not only about who you tell and who you don't. Privacy is about how you structure your wealth, how you organize it, how you legally protect it. And that brings us to the second rule of sudden wealth: Machiavelli's art of disguise, the strategy of concealment. You cannot just be rich. You must learn how real rich people move. Unseen, untouchable, protected behind legal walls, turning your wealth into an invisible fortress. The second rule is this: concealment through structure. Machiavelli taught that a prince must build fortresses, but not fortresses of stone, fortresses of strategy. In your case, that fortress is privacy that looks normal from the outside. Even if you don't tell anyone, people around you will sense something has changed. People smell wealth like wolves smell blood. They notice small things, new habits, a shift in confidence, small upgrades. The world teaches you to display success. Machiavelli teaches you to disguise success. So who should you tell first? Not your friend, not your family member. The first person should be a good lawyer, an attorney, the modern concealment specialist, someone who understands trusts, foundations, tax shields. Because real wealth is almost never owned directly. It is structured in layers. When Machiavelli advised kings to rule through intermediaries, he was describing the same principle. Power works best when it flows through layers, when the source stays hidden. Today, that means a trust that hides your name, a holding company that shields your assets, professionals who handle your affairs quietly, while your public life remains unchanged. This kind of discretion is not paranoia. Discretion is power. Jack Whittaker shouted his wealth and collapsed. The Rothschilds built wealth and stayed invisible for centuries. The Rothschild family is a European banking family, among the richest since the 18th century. Yet very few people know them, because they never came forward publicly. They financed wars and lent money to kings. and still appeared modest, calm, even boring. They let influence speak louder than lifestyle. That is stealth wealth, the aristocracy of silence. Now people will tell you, don't quit your job. I disagree, but with nuance. The point is not to keep the job. The point is to keep momentum. Work keeps your mind sharp and your ego humble. Machiavelli wrote that idleness makes a man weak, soft. The danger of sudden wealth is not spending. The danger is stagnation. So don't stop working. Just stop what drains your spirit or limits your autonomy. If your job is suffocating, leave it on your terms, not as an escape, but as a statement of sovereignty. Stay active. Keep building. Stay useful. A working man stays focused. An idle man becomes a victim of impulses. Look at the richest people of our time. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. He didn't scatter his energy into random pleasures. He fortified one fortress, Amazon, and expanded it methodically. Warren Buffett, legendary American investor. He spent decades refining one craft, investing. Even in old age, he still wakes up to work. They understand what Machiavelli understood. Focus is a form of power. Consistency is a weapon. A prince who divides his attention weakens his defenses. A man who spreads his wealth too thin invites collapse. Once your habits and identity become stable, the next step is securing your finances from an invisible threat: debt. Machiavelli warned kings, eliminate internal dangers before external dangers. He wrote that a disease is easy to cure when caught early, but if neglected, it becomes incurable. Debt is exactly that disease. High-interest loans, credit cards, silent killers that feed on your negligence. When your account is full, they look harmless, but compound interest moves faster than greed. A 20% interest rate can eat a treasure faster than a thief. So treat debt like a rebellion inside your walls. Crush it first. This is the only guaranteed return in money. If you eliminate 20% interest, you effectively earned 20% without risk. Then look at other debts: car loans, personal loans, even home loans. If interest is high, cut it. End it. If interest is low, like 2% or 3%, consider keeping it and using that capital elsewhere. This is not cheapness, this is strategy. Machiavelli says a wise ruler does not spend to look rich, he spends to remain rich. When you remove debt, you're not just cleaning your balance sheet. You are reclaiming peace of mind. You remove that quiet anxiety that bites into every decision. You silence the inner voice that says, "This wealth is temporary." Without that noise, you begin thinking like a king, not like a servant. But remember, even if your fortress is strong, even if your debts are gone, your biggest danger is still ahead. Not the market, not taxes, emotions, especially other people's emotions. Because when you become rich, you don't just attract opportunities. You awaken hunger in those closest to you. And that hunger will test you in ways no spreadsheet can predict. Once you build your fortress and remove debt, a new war begins, the war of emotions. Machiavelli said people more easily harm the man who wants love than the man who creates fear. In wealth, the danger doesn't come from enemies. It comes from friends, relatives, and those who believe they have a right to your money. When you rise suddenly, people start telling themselves stories. You owe me. You were just lucky. You couldn't have made it without me. Their thinking comes from emotion, not logic. Their intent may not be evil, but jealousy doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly. The fifth rule of sudden wealth: never lend money to friends or family. The moment you do, you turn relationships into transactions. If they can't repay, resentment grows. If they succeed, they feel indebted. Either way, you lose. Machiavelli warned princes, never give what you cannot take back without creating hatred. The same applies to money. When people believe you have unlimited money, they start testing your limits. They will say, just a small loan for one emergency. just once. Say no once, you become the villain. Say yes once, you become a bank, an ATM. So what is the path? Help wisely. If someone you truly care about faces a real crisis, like illness or disaster, give with an open heart, but only once. And never call it a loan. Call it a gift, with one condition: they never ask again. This changes the equation. You remain generous, but not weak. And ironically, that boundary often preserves the relationship longer. Machiavelli's understanding of mercy fits here perfectly. Better to cause one clean pain than to suffer slowly every day. Be clear, not cruel. Decide once, then move forward. Look at modern examples. Athletes who rise from poverty often lose everything, not because of bad investments, but because of generosity. They carry the whole family. They support dozens of people. They become prisoners of guilt. When money dries up, those people disappear. Take boxer Mike Tyson. In the 80s and 90s, he was one of the most famous champions in the world. He earned over $300 million, yet within 10 years, he went bankrupt. Not only because of wasteful spending, but because of countless hands reaching toward him. Wealth reveals truth. Who wants you, and who wants what you can give? Machiavelli says this is natural. People stay loyal only as long as they benefit. That is why your strength should never rest on love. It must rest on boundaries. To protect wealth, you will sometimes need to look cold, but remember, without control, iron breaks. Without heart, control becomes corrupt. The trick is to be like the sun, warm from a distance, untouchable up close. Now, once you understand generosity, another temptation waits: spending. More people have fallen here than on any battlefield in history. The sixth rule is old, but always true. Never consume your principal. Live only on income, only on returns, only on interest. Those who stay rich treat money like farmland. They harvest crops without destroying the soil. Those who become rich from poverty often treat money like wood. They burn their own foundation just to feel warmth. Here's a story. In California, a family won a massive lottery, millions of dollars. They bought a mansion, luxury cars, expensive schools, designer everything. 2 years later, they had to sell the house at half the price. Their wealth didn't vanish by magic. It was eaten by debt, taxes, and bad decisions. They broke what I call the king's golden rule. Your principal is your kingdom. You protect it. You live from its income, not from it. In simple words, you live from the interest your wealth produces, not from the wealth itself. Machiavelli advised rulers to always keep reserves, because fortune changes, and what is built without wisdom is built for destruction. Calculate your freedom number. Take the annual income you need to live comfortably and multiply it by 25. That is your hidden throne. Calculate your freedom number. For example, if you need $60,000 per year to live comfortably, your freedom number is $1.5 million. You live on the interest. The principal remains untouched. Even if you haven't reached that number yet, start thinking like a king. Every financial decision either invests in your freedom or surrenders to impulse. Every rupee you build increases your time, your peace, your options. The goal is not luxury. The goal is power, leverage. But once you build the system, once your wealth stands on its own legs, then what? Where do you place your money so it grows quietly, without chaos and without danger? The answer is the final rule, the last law of fortune. Build an investment plan worthy of a king, safe, spread out, and built for the long term. So if you want to grow wealth, listen to the final rule. Divide your money across different places, some in land, some in business, some in gold, some always in cash. Never keep all eggs in one basket. And most importantly, never touch the main capital. Live only from its income. Don't cut the tree, eat the fruit. The goal is not thrill. The goal is survival. Renaissance bankers like the Medici family understood this centuries ago. The Medici were the most powerful banking family in 15th century Italy. They lent money to kings. They financed wars. They spread wealth across countries, across assets, across generations. They weren't just rich. They became immortal. The same principle applies today. To stay rich, you must think in decades, not days. One last thing. Even kings need joy. Keep a small amount separate for pleasure. Enjoy wisely. Buy what truly makes you happy. Because real wealth is waking up and deciding what you will do with your time, not showing off what you spent. Once your fortress is secure, look beyond yourself. The final purpose of money is not waste, it is legacy. Invest in ideas, people, and work that outlive you. If you truly understand this rule, you will realize wealth is not noise, it is silence. It is not luxury, it is power. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler spends not to look rich, but to remain rich. So remember, becoming rich is easy. Staying rich is war. Fortune can give you gold. Only wisdom can protect it. Build your fortress. Stay silent. And never tell the world where your real treasure is, because what is seen becomes a target, and what stays hidden rules. And in Machiavelli's words, it is better to act and regret than to not act and regret. So act, but with foresight. Build your fortress, defend it, grow it, and never tell the world where your crown truly is. Now, the decision is yours.